Hi, my name is James Shepard, and today I'm coming to you from this new studio that we created. I'm really excited about it. And so before I get into the 5 tips for selling new merchant accounts, I wanted to talk about the new podcast that I'm going to be doing with the Green Sheet. So many of you get the Green Sheet magazine, go to their website, etc. And we're going to be doing a podcast with CC Sales Pro and the Green Sheet, actually recording our first episode coming up in a couple days, which will go out here in a few weeks. So really excited about that. Today, though, I wanted to jump right in and talk about 5 tips for selling new merchants. So I'll never forget this. There was a day where I knew it was going to be an unproductive day. I was not going to make any sales. I wasn't going to make any money because one of my big clients that had 11 locations, they called me. They had an issue with their VX510 terminal. So this was a little while ago. The VX510 gives me away there. And so that meant I was going to spend my day driving all over the place to fix these terminals and make these adjustments that they needed. I won't get into all the details of that. So what happened was I was going to, I think it was the 3rd or 4th stop I had to make. It was in a little mini mall. And I noticed, wow, look at this business over here. It looks like there's some activity going on, but I didn't know there was a business there. There was no sign out front. So I thought, let me just run in there real quick before I go to my client location. So walk in the door, I see, tables all over the one side. I see chairs wrapped in plastic, and there's only one person in the store. It's a guy, looks like maybe 50-ish, gray hair, behind the counter, and he is working on this register. He's really frustrated trying to program a register. So I walk over there and I strike up a conversation with him, and I find out that he quit his well-paying job where he worked to start this franchise pizza shop with his son, and just something he wanted to do together with his son, and he was excited about it, but he was kind of frustrated. He was supposed to launch in about 3 or 4 weeks. So the conversation turned to credit card processing. He told me, yeah, I'm about to sign up with my local bank. And I'm like, oh, if you're about to sign up with your local bank, hold on a second, let me take a look at that. So he gave me their agreement. And that was, nobody had contacted him about merchant services. I mean, he wasn't even a business yet. He was brand new. And I, got that information, and I was very easily able to beat their price and set him up. And I closed that deal on the spot, signed the agreement, left, went over and finished my day of, unproductive work, helping a client out. But it was like, wow, that was so easy that I was able to do that. Now that was pure luck. There was it wasn't my skill that allowed me to do that. Maybe a little salesmanship at the end, but really that was just my luck of finding that business. But it really got me started thinking about, is there a way that I could maybe recreate that luck and make myself lucky more often and find more of these new businesses, because that was a really, really easy sale. So what I want to give you today is 5 tips that I've learned over the years since, that day, how to find and sell these new merchant accounts. So let's dive in and talk about tip number 1. Tip number 1, keep a database of vacant real estate, vacant retail space in your market. Now, this is a tip I'm excited to share because every once in a while I realize, hey, there's this thing I've never talked about in any of my videos that I used to do. That doesn't happen to me very much anymore because I've made like hundreds of videos, but I've never shared this before. It's a really good tip for you. So when you're trying to sell and find these new merchants, the biggest hurdle is timing. If you get there too early, there's nobody there to sell. If you get there too late, somebody else has already sold them, because as soon as they register their business and they start, doing some things, putting that Yellow Page ad in or yellowpages.com or whatever, all these other services are going to pick that up and they're going to send that as a lead to like every merchant services company in the US, and then it's too late. So the key is to get them, 2 or 3 weeks before they open. So how do you do that? Well, one thing I learned was, if you're driving around your market and you notice that there's a retail space that's for lease, that's up for rent right now, okay? And I'm talking about, mini malls. Like if you go to any mini mall, you're almost always going to see 1 or 2, vacant places that they're looking to lease. So what I would do is I would make a note of that in a separate little database. I use a database system called Podio to do this. Then I put a little note in there. Hey, 5545, Smith Road, second one in the mini mall, empty or whatever, right? Then what I would do is I would just make a point of driving by that location once every month, which again, it would sometimes be more, sometimes less, just depending on just my normal route. I wasn't like making a lot of special trips. Just while I'm out prospecting, I'm like, oh, you know what? There's that one over here in this area. And there's tons, if you go online, there's tons of little like mapping functionality you can get. You can even use Google Maps for this, but you basically want to drop a pin on the map for all of these. So you have a map that's got, 50 of these, vacant retail spaces, and then you drive by there there until you see some activity. When that sign comes down and it's no longer for lease, that's your cue. Oh, okay, they leased it, a business is coming in. Now I'm gonna go by there once every week or more until I see some activity, because usually once that for lease sign comes down, they're gonna have a coming soon sign that's gonna go up, and whoever leased that building, they're now paying, $1,000 a month. You better believe they wanna get going and they wanna start getting some revenue. So you're gonna start seeing activity there. So as soon as you start seeing activity, just try to walk in. Eventually you're gonna find that door unlocked and you can walk into the business. So tip number one is create that database of vacant retail spaces in your area. Then what you can do is you can go back and check on it. Number two, you need to leverage LinkedIn so that when a person changes their profile on LinkedIn in your local market, you get notified in a saved search. Now, I'm not going to spend an enormous amount of time on this point because it's really complicated to explain it. You can go to instantquotetool.com, click on courses, and then click on generate leads through LinkedIn. That is one of the most powerful ways that I generated a lot of business in the merchant services industry, and it's something very few people actually do. So definitely please check that out. But the thing to understand and kind of to customize a little bit from that is once you have that saved search, a saved search is going to once a week check and see if there are any new connections in your network that have a certain title of like owner, business owner, president, things like that. And then it's going to send you an email, hey, this new person's in your network. Well, one thing I found is that when people open a business, a lot of times as soon as they lease that space, they're really excited about it. So even though the sign isn't up on their business, they go ahead and change their LinkedIn profile to say, whatever, I'm now the president of this one. And to give you an example, the story I told at the beginning, when I looked at that guy's LinkedIn profile for his pizza place, he had already changed it to owner at Fox's Pizza Den, and it was in this particular area. So, they will change it right away. Why? Because they have all these connections and they want their connections to know what they're doing. What are they up to today? Well, here's what they did, So they're going to do that. So definitely have your LinkedIn set up. Again, it's a little complicated of a process. It would probably take you half a day to set up your LinkedIn to be kind of an automated generator of leads. But you can go to instantquotetool.com, click on courses, click on generating leads through LinkedIn. Number three, get all of the local business marketing materials and ads and local apps and everything that you can get. Let me explain what I mean by this. So one thing that's different about a brand new business than an established business is that, let's take pizza shops as an example here. If I have a really well-established pizza shop in a local market, I'm probably spending between $1,000 to $3,000 a month on marketing, okay? So I have $1,000 to $3,000 a month earmarked for, whatever, Facebook ads or, whatever it is, right? Marketing stuff. So if I'm opening a brand new pizza shop, I probably have more like $15,000 to $20,000 that's set aside for the advertising campaign to launch my business. So I'm going to put out a lot more marketing and I'm going to be looking at every avenue I can. So what you need to be doing as a merchant services sales professional is you really need to get all the ads, value pack, get Groupon and just always be looking for a new business. Just, Foursquare, be very active, your local paper, be very active in the community in terms of looking at all the ads from all the businesses. When you talk to your clients right now, your businesses, ask them, where do you currently advertise? Make sure you are getting those advertisements. So on a daily basis, you'd be surprised how many leads you can get from those advertisements. And it actually makes a great conversation starter. Even if it's not a brand new business, you get that ad, you walk into the business, hey, I got your ad. They're going to be excited because they made that ad, they put it in, you're like, oh, awesome. If you can buy something there, like if it's a lunch thing, I go in there and bring that, hey, I got this. This is really, you did a good job on this. Awesome. I want to grab some lunch. Hey, by the way, I've never been in here before. Who do you guys use for credit card processing? It's a great conversation starter. So I would highly recommend that you do that as well. But get all the ads, and what's going to happen is you're going to see, maybe it's once a month or a couple times a month, you're going to see an ad for a business where you're like, what? I didn't know we had one of those here, And then you're like, oh, cool. I'm going to go over there. That's a new business, right? So you do that one. So Tip number 3 basically is get all the ads you can. Tip number 4, probably my least favorite tip, but still something worth looking into. There's a website called InfoUSA, infousa.com. They do have a new business list that comes out every week. And every week they will send you, here's all the new businesses in your area that are opening. Now, there's a couple problems with that list too, really. The first problem is they are really scrounging to get all the data that they can. And so 80% of those leads are just a wild goose chase. You're going to end up at somebody's like residential dwelling that you can't even go to because they just started a business in their basement or something like that. So you're going to run into a lot of kind of garbage leads, like literally probably 80%, maybe a little less, but somewhere in that vicinity. So that's a problem, but it's still good. You got all this information. The other bigger problem you're going to run into is by the time InfoUSA grabs them, they send that out to everybody. So the thing I will tell you is if you're going to do those leads, it's not even worth it unless you're literally going to get them the moment they're released and you're going to get in your car and go to every single one of them immediately. And it's only going to be maybe 20 of them or something like that, 10, 20, depending on how, your area, how many businesses there are, things like that. But you got to jump on those right away because everybody just got them. At the same moment you got them, 50 other processors got that same lead. And so it's really challenging. But if you can be, one thing you'll find is when you're competing with these big companies that sell over the phone, it's actually a lot harder to sell on the spot over the phone, even for a new business. They don't want to buy on the spot. Well, let me shop around a little bit. And it takes them a few days to close the deal. If you can get out there face to face within 24 to 48 hours, you do have a shot at closing the sale. Again, the problem is you're going to be running into a lot of them that are not legit. So I would still look into it though. It's go to infousa.com, reach out to them, ask them about their new business list, and they have a pretty cool list going on with that. Last tip number 5 is on how to sell these people. So, you finally get there. You're trying to sell them now, right? What do you do when you get there? Well, the biggest difference is you're going to use a lot more small talk. And the reason is because there's not a line of customers out the door. They're not in a huge hurry necessarily. If you get there early enough, they're in this mode of trying to find vendors, trying to set everything up for their business. And so they're already in that mode of like, let's talk about our business and how we can make it better, right? So they're already in that mode. And because they're already in that mode, you can have a more in-depth conversation with them. They're not in a huge hurry. They don't have 5 customers waiting to talk to them. So talk to them. Hey, why did you end up starting this business? Tell me your story a little bit. If you have a couple seconds, I'd love to learn a little bit more about your business. I certainly want to spread the word about your company. Use lines like that about you're going to spread the word. You want people to know about them. They are going to be really excited because they haven't gotten to really talk to very many people about their business yet. So you're going to find that they're a lot more talkative. They're a lot more friendly as a general rule, and they're interested in talking to you. Now, still there's a lot of, salesmanship that goes into it, of course, but have a little bit of a conversation with them. And then when you turn to the merchant services, you want to be really assumptive. And I always use their launch date. So the way I would do it is I would say, hey, Susan, so when are you looking to start up? And they're like, well, we're going to start July 1st. Okay, great. And then you stop and you say, let me think about that for 1 second. July 1st. Yeah, I'm very confident I can get you all set up by July 1st. So we'll have your credit card machine here ready to go so you can accept credit cards day 1. So let's kind of get the ball rolling. Do you have a few minutes right now? Let's get some paperwork done. I'll kind of get the ball rolling and then I'll keep you in the loop while we get everything set up. So you see how I did that? Very assumptive. I asked them what their opening date is, and I kind of use them saying what their opening date is as like that's the buyer sign or whatever that I'm going to use to leverage and say like because they gave me that date, they now are ready for me to try to close the sale, right? And then I'm very assumptive and I close the deal. So there you go. 5 tips on how to find and sell new merchants. My name is James Shepard. Have an awesome day.